white, it is spreading all over. So my papa, let me take the precautions. Not a party business that it.
Welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television.
Mes salons Famboulden, on a couché en Cabo. It's a message come from United for Salon in collaboration with Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television. And also for me well body people Charlie Taliban.
One sick don't come with a call corona. Say ain't okay if you black or you white, it is spreading all over. So mama, papa, let me take the precautions. Not a party business, that it end is for caution. So number one for the wash you on, it's up. Now they touch your nose, now they touch your eyes, and now they touch your mouth. When you sick, now for stay na us. You want cough, now for cover your mouth. You want sneeze, now for cover your nose. Make me help for safe salon. Salon now we on, no place like home. One sick don't come with it.
Morning, Barbara. You okay? You change that dress for you. You've had about 2 or 3 days. Yeah? Is that okay with you? Yeah. Did you sleep well? What are you reading today? Oh, so I can book it.
Kushe, mi salon fumble and mi body dem. Mina Maria Brewer, Mina, the U.S. Ambassador to Sierra Leone. I know say, all men don't worry buku with this new sick, this COVID-19 business done humbug all the world. We all know say, this coronavirus now bad sick, but we know for afraid. We know the afraid because we don't make plan for fet this sick. We tell God thanky because of yet. Me and me fumbled close with the Salon government for fet this sick. We de tawa for all man in well body. Rules from the government of Salon and the US, we go better for we all. Make we wash we hands all the time with soap and water. Make we no touch mouth, eye and nose. Make we tap for shake hands first. Let we know they gather buku man now one place. Make we day now us if we sick and call doctor. Let we no listen too much social media, WhatsApp and Facebook. Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Do ya mi salon fumble in mi padi dem. Ade beguna. I sabi say the people of Salon get big power. Let we all join hands for fet this COVID-19. One finger no go able take stone. When we get one word, I know say we can keep Mama Salon and we all safe. Una tenki. Una kushe, mi Salon fumble and mi body dem. Mina Maria Brewer, Mina, the U.S. Ambassador to Sierra Leone. I know say, all men don't worry buku with this new sick, this COVID-19 business done humbug all the world. We all know say, this coronavirus now bad sick, but we know for afraid. We know the afraid because we don't make plan for fet this sick. We tell God thanky because of yet. Me and me fumbled close with the Salon government for fet this sick. We de tawa for all man in well body. Rules from the government of Salon and the US, we go better for we all. Make we wash we hands all the time with soap and water. Make we no touch mouth, eye and nose. Make we tap for shake hands first. Let we know they gather buku man now one place. Make we day now us if we sick and call doctor. Let we no listen too much social media, WhatsApp and Facebook. Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Do ya mi salon fumble in mi padi dem. Ade beguna. I sabi say the people of Salon get big power. Let we all join hands for fet this COVID-19. One finger no go able take.
Greetings, fellow Sierra Leoneans and viewer beyond the Sierra Leone community. Welcome to another special edition of Salon for All, Voice for All Network Television. I am your host, Agibu Tejan Jalloh. It is an honor to have with me here tonight a wonderful soul. I want just equally as that of waiting I described Mr. Masale the other day. I want to describe this man from the heart. A person where I know, I would say on a personal level, happen to be a family member, a man where I would describe similarly to that of Mr. Masale, a man where they carry life with humility. Humility will be an understatement. A man where I respect in so many ways. And today, I go chain onto the table is sit on a hot seat for answer to very critical questions them. Where many Sierra Leoneans also go love for here. Having said that, I pause here for now. Bring her in. We guest tonight. Introduce himself. Welcome, Honorable Mr. Agibu Tejan Jalloh.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be here. For a while now, you've only asked me to come on the show.
Absolutely.
But look at big party, I don't come as early as you want me to come.
Yes.
You know, I was the former government spokesman for the the country and for the government. And as such, after we lost election, the thing to say, it makes sense for me to keep myself quiet and not say anything at all, such that another will be misunderstood and misconstrued, and allow the people in the way don't form government to carry on with the business of running the country. But now, after I don't take about 2 years, I think to say as a private citizen, we set the rise to come inside now and talk about what's going to happen now, talk about what we don't do, and all the things that will make the country better. So therefore, I'm happy to be here. My name again, as you say, it's Agibu Tejan Jalloh, former government spokesman of the Republic of Sierra Leone.
Once again, welcome, and thank you so very much for honoring the invitation. Before we go today in terms of your experience, we want to start first with this, the pandemic where we still the struggle, and unfortunately, you also happen to be one of the victims then. So I appreciate the fact that you take upon yourself, for now you understand, say, obviously, now God na in they make sick, and not a thing where we for shy, nothing where we not for some people then go and say then get that stigmatization approach where then go shy away from such topic. But you, the bold man that you are, the honest and open, upfront individual that you are, you welcome the idea for come in and talk about time. So make we start with COVID-19, how we go able for express or explain to we Sierra Leonean sisters and brothers them around the world, and not only limited to them, for letting go know how severe or serious this pandemic is. Waiting you go through, waiting to be experienced, make a pause here and bring you back in, sir. Welcome once again.
Again, thank you very much. COVID, on the onset, not a joke. COVID is serious, and you best bet not to try to make no contact with disease at all, the virus, and follow the protocols with CDC and all the well-being people that they ask you to follow. We have to constantly wash your hand. Make sure, say, you know, go outside if you don't need to go outside. Reduce your interaction with other people. Then certainly have a face mask. All of that will reduce the possibility of contracting the virus. Me, on the early days of April, I began to feel sick, flu-like symptoms. I became tired. I feel very sleepy. Drive or get to the destination, getting out of the car was a challenge. I could sit on it for hours and hours, maybe to move. Then I decided to go see doctor. Go see doctor, explain the situation. The doctor said, "Be fine, listen to me well." Prescribed plenty of medicine for me, dizziness, Tylenol, Budin, plenty of medicine. But then he said, "I think to see we need to test you for corona." So I submit myself to the test. Then do a nose swab, and 4 days later, the doctor called me and said, "How do you feel?" I say, "Well, I don't feel too good. I still feel sick." They say the test come back and be positive. That news day of himself, no problem.
Yes.
When they tell you say your test come back positive, the news of himself a big problem for you, because the next thing you remember now, what's next? Okay, this will cause a rational problems because you will have to isolate yourself, you will have to start taking treatment, looking at the extent of the virus now, where you stand, and all of that. That confusion in the company. I had to deal with all of that. Then the next thing the doctor tell me, say, "I'll send you something. You cannot come here. We'll Uber you some medication." Uber me a machine where I put my finger for testing oxygen level. Send me hydrochloride, hydrochloroquine, and send me some heavy zinc and some cough mixture. So take down there on a day. Definitely, if you get chest problems, if you get problems breathing, call 911 right away. Then they report to the county. Obviously, they put something on the remote for me, call 911 for say this person I get COVID by also, so everybody should stay away. So I deal with down the taking those medications, dealing with the issues of COVID, which I feed the heart to the back, the heart to the back of the respond to heart. Then you feel extremely, extremely cold. You feel so feverish. Okay, when the temperature outside was 76 degrees Fahrenheit, you day in cold, then next time when you go sleep, because if you sleep, you will see yourself see the die and such. You get to stay awake, but you die not paying you. It was difficult. It was very, very difficult. Even for one on the room, walk, I go downstairs, go to the kitchen, and go get something for it. We really have a problem at the moment, you see. That's carry on and carry on. It became extremely difficult when I leave for the hospital. Things got a little worse. Then I came back home. When I think about 14 days after, I began to feel better a little bit. I began to feel better out of it. And that situation there today, where you really see, tell me, say, very good friend, Tony Mansari, a community leader, a fine gentleman, an innovator, really and truly, a really fine gentleman, self-contracted disease, and as a matter of fact, will not die. So when you begin getting news that day, you say, somebody said non-contracted disease will not die, you said, become very worried, because it's only a matter of time before this settles. I lost a considerable amount of weight, which is extremely tough. I did it again. Then I get another news to say another big brother, a very good friend of mine, master planner, in the process of Alex Mansari, self-concept in hospital, effect. Oh, you think say you're going to go through all of the entire, so still really not on it. You never say, right? It's only a matter of time this could happen to me too. So physically, it was difficult. Mentally, it was extremely difficult. But I tell God, thank you today. I really tell God, thank you. God saved me from this, and I don't bring me back. I don't recover 100%. Here am I, Jackson of Florida. I don't have the beach away. I don't use for go. I put it at yourself. Just 10 minutes away from me. I get a lick where I can normally go on Sundays. So when I was able to go back there, I really able to take a picture. I post on my Facebook and say, and tell them about checking this and testimony. So me want to tell people that we not get COVID. It's do ya. Try not to get COVID, and really try. Wash your hand, get your face mask. Make sure say you don't go in a crowded place. Make sure say you don't touch surfaces. Make sure say if you don't need for going to do, don't go outside, please.
Well stated. Well stated. I wonder you take me back to then Tim, then they like how you say how it make you feel during that time, like specifically, when you talk about people them way now you bosom friends them, you brothers them in a way we'll call them, wherein in the case of the example of the two way you mentioned, the late Ambassador Fode Mansare and as well as Mr. Alex Mansare, where there are two now people that way you go say in a community leaders as that example of you yourself. So how you able for go through that grief day with you having to battle for yourself your life to the point where God help you say you become a survivor and you they sit on here today and they educate others them as to waiting at the right things them for do for not they able for prevent them from happening to them. Come back in, sir.
It was psychologically challenging, extremely difficult. You really must say it's only a matter of time. This thing they can go inside your chest. Once it goes inside your chest, it will actually involve the lungs. Once they involve the lungs, then I have respiratory problems, and thereon I am going to die. You, to be quite honest, I think I was so sick to some extent where me personally they don't give up a few times.
Wow.
There are a few times where I say, I'm tired of this, I'm able to sleep, I'm able to do nothing, make I just go. This is it. There's nothing else I can do. I've been very honest, very, very honest. Say on 2 occasions, I really and truly don't give up. Say, Agibu, this is it. Cannot go any further.
Wow.
And especially when you get a news daily, as you don't talk about. Down in the tell you say, it's only a matter of time. You go. So when I got the news of Mr. Ambassador Fode Mansare, of course I've been very ill. So when they say you die, when I see on the telephone, not forget say nobody they can hear you. So you're by yourself. The whole time, all 2 of you by yourself. when I see on the telephone, you know, register. I also get a call about that. It's still not registered.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
but after I don't even feel better, really, in fact, my parents said, they remind me of that, and they didn't come back to me. I didn't register the fact. I said, oh my God, so we really like the line. You know, then you know, but Alex, problem also say he didn't ask me to like. Okay, don't forget. I also have a brother, Hon Agibu Tejan, who also sick. He not test positive, but to get acute symptoms of corona, and you get isolated himself. So from time to time, when we talk, we tell us, this is it. I get to a point where we don't put notes and the table now to say, this and this and this is what needs to happen.
Wow.
Insurance, this shall get and this will happen. I have really gotten to that point.
Oh my God.
It is extremely, extremely tough.
I am truly really sorry for the rather unfortunate experience, and wow, God is good. God is good, and not only
All
would
the
it,
time.
yes, not only would they talk about you experience today, but we'll celebrate your life, and we tell God thank you for your life. Really, really sorry on behalf of all the one that we
And
care for.
after I don't be doing things better, now the effects, I believe that the effects of the medicine, they make you hallucinate.
Wow.
I see the world they go around. I don't care. I don't want to know about nothing. I don't get no objective. I don't get no agenda. I don't care about nothing. You don't feel like saying you want anything. You don't need to work for nobody. You know, it gets one kind. It put you in a position where you stoned. You just set in your ways and don't care what's going to happen around. It took
Wow.
about 3 weeks for me to begin come come to reality, begin actually smell and taste and feel,
Yes.
and begin realize yourself and say, okay, this is it.
You get any idea as to how you contact this disease? You get any idea if you can recall?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
I do a lot of traveling most of the time. I work sometimes, but I leave for the most part. Jacksonville, Florida here, and I go home on the weekends to Jersey. And so I normally fly around. But most of the time, the plane and while they go inside, during the and they believe me, and a whole A320, Airbus 320 with 128 seats.
Yeah.
Only 6 people inside. Most of them telling me 8 people inside. And this isn't a disinfectant. And they get masks and get gloves while they go inside and they touch nothing. Most of the flight, 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, but up there, I don't know how.
Yeah.
Most of the airport they go through were empty, but I don't know. Maybe they
We thank God. We thank God. So for the one that where they actually still battle with at the moment, waiting you go advise them in how they go able for overcome with your experience what you get. What thing will be that advice?
I see 3 stages to this. You get stage 1, where I think the certain people they get symptoms of animal and get the flu-like symptoms. Now they can say they're asymptomatic, meaning that they get the sick, but they really show the acute symptoms. They feel maybe 6 months, but they really show. And they say once they are possible at that stage, and then for passenger that possible, now they tell you that the back then they were not telling us that. You get the next stage, when at the end stage, where you actually get really sick and you're not really don't be able to walk out, you do nothing. You don't want to do nothing. Really, really sick.
Wow.
You get the final stage, okay, where the virus they actually making way into the lungs. When you making way into the lungs, now it affects the gas exchange. You taking in of oxygen and bringing out of carbon dioxide. So when it affects that ability to make that gas exchange, and the bubbles them inside the lungs where the oxygen will go, it will take them place a day, and then you're not able to blow again, and then you get respiratory problem. If you get worse, then balls, then the bubble, then they get water inside. Then at that point, we go to hospital. Really, they go to get you, they put you in a ventilation. That ventilation is supposedly for help you for breathing. But at that time now, your oxygen level is by far less than what you appreciate. By far. And at that point, they honestly speaking, a 70-30 chance In other words, 70% of the people that really go at that point, they really from waiting we don't see the data, they're going to die. 30% will make up. When you get to that point. If you don't get to that point there, and you just don't even get trouble breathing like me, then it will be oxygen for everybody. If you get to that point where it's not a question of give you oxygen for it to breathe, but it's how we don't go inside your chest, it don't affect you. Gas exchange, and now you don't go for blow for yourself really, and therefore intubate you. Now you don't go to that 70 30. And that one they like 30% of the alcohol. So me, my advice to people is that the minute you start to feel only, the minute you start to feel like CBC, go get tested by the way. No hide, left it at the doctor business, you can do that later, but certainly go get tested because yes, the doctor they help, but certainly well, the same, I guess, but me now, I could play with time, I did go, where they see that they work, and work for me. Yeah, and of course, I take the ginger and the garlic, I make the ginger and the garlic, and the drink that one day, and the drink a lot of fluid, because a lot of fluid, only juice, yes. Emergency, you get for the drink that one day, and morning, drink at planet also. So people like to say, which yabas, like chestnut yabas, the iron, you can smell yabas. And I give all of those things. But I will say for sure, if you drink a lot of fluid, if you take a lot of vitamin C, okay, and the idea is that medication only for the virus, but you want to boost your system, where for able to vet the virus out. And then you want to do as best as possible. So I encourage people to continue to drink their vitamin C. You can take their energy as well as garlic and ginger, mix some, warm up, lean some, or take the shot of it every morning, Saturday morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure that many that are watching today will benefit from that detailed explanation of yours. So now we're going to turn the page, and now you can the hot seats. Let's go back with the experience and you working in that capacity as a spokesman. The administration that you serve or work in that capacity as a spokesman failed to repeal the 1965 Act. Sierra Leoneans will want to know, was it deliberate? Is the law kept to protect the interests of all politicians and not the interests of Sierra Leonean? The sitting president, especially in the case of journalists. So I want you to come back in and give us an explanation on why is it that the last administration failed to remove that particular law that is affecting countless Sierra Leonean up to today.
Indeed, the former president, Dr. Alasbai Kuroma, he puts that in the agenda for we repeal the Public Order Act of 1965, Section 5, where they deal with seditious libel. Most people don't understand what's in the act, but it has to do with where you go talk about somebody and you defame the person in character and not just people. Okay? That law they allow that prosecutor to make them arrest you and prosecute you very quickly. Now, law we talking to journalists and now we don't be in the business for a long time. They say this will make journalists effectively to talk freely, because the minute when a journalist write about a government official, somebody in high office, they go arrest them. And that they happen, people then will go there to invest into journalism. Can't bring money into journalism, make people go fine. Not get interest for the right income, because they believe the journalists are free for the indeed, the government we serve for the beliefs in a bad law and for repeal. And I will tell you those steps were taken. Okay, quite a number of meetings were called to start the process as far as going to right of appeal by the Attorney General in office. But the problem we come now, the fact that yes, we learn a bad law, but yes, also we get yellow journalism. you get journalists in a way, really and truly they embellish, really and truly they make statement of them to true, like yellow journalists, they really check up, and by so doing, they will bring down people them, really, not correct, so now a double-edged sword, whereas the law is stop journalists to actually speak freely and take on stories them as they want, but also again without the law, the possibility there for like an errant journalist, an irresponsible journalist, who make statements where they would lie about somebody, they talk for somebody to be honest with you. So the dilemma was, okay, if we pull the law, okay, what thing we will bring in place to stop this problem? Because the problem there, the problem really there. I mean, you get journalists that we don't practice for 30 years, not ever go police for no case, because they will fact check their story, okay, they will make sure they get evidence. So when you out a story, you need to go challenge them at all. Then you get all the journalists them way because things off, they want to make money, people they go pay them. Or some of them don't politicize the business of journalism. Also, they want to bring bad name to somebody, they will pay them. Or just right, not double check, not check them. Yes, you might go back and retract. But when once you don't put something out for somebody, you don't see this person, and so you do, whenever so you do, you don't suffer. You don't suffer so.
So in the case, like from the statement you make, in the case of how powerful social media is nowadays, there are so many authentic evidence where you go say it make the work of a journalist much easier. If somebody is being attacked, then use them, then devise them, put her into recording and disseminate that information there, it make the work much easier. Maybe we will take the next step for call for make sure say we do further interview. But in the case, a great example when I come across authentic evidence of waiting some of the disabled people then sit and go through with the deputy internal minister, I go further, like how you say, the right thing for do, the ethical thing for do is for go further for cross check and make sure say you get accurate or authentic evidence or first hand information from the people then we go through the alleged X, Y, and Z. So having said that, I went through that extra channel, called the people then for make sure say this really happened, conduct an interview, disseminate them back again for backup me evidence. Unfortunately, we get another individual, we go back again and go to a different group of disabled people them and go enforce them for give false statement. Having said that, when it disseminates that information, I go back again and challenge them in a very professional manner. I ask him also say that he use the opportunity for come na this platform for na answer to questions to Sierra Leoneans them. Unfortunately, it deliberately declined the offer to the last minute where don't give me the assurance. So having said that, if the journalists, the authentic evidence is there, but because of the rather unfortunate how we country don't they now with the very bad politics, trying to not the interest of the country or the citizen itself, but rather of individual political party, obviously it go question some of the one we truly get the concern, the good journalists them where they go the extra mile, but yet still you will get the ugly people that will go still come back again and fire back say it not happened where really it did happen. So what do you go advise in that area?
Well, when maybe the work as government spokesman and the outreach coordinator, they get plenty interaction with journalists. Of course, they may pass on information to journalists, but many information go far, and journalists are there for use. They can only do so much. Journalists are they do the last mile. So I get plenty interaction with them. Also get interaction with the leadership, and maybe your advice, the profession, a valuable profession, and such that can for professionalize them. For we journalists in salon, easy. I grab my money, I take bag, I take microphone or recorder, I take pen, I come on and say, you're a journalist. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Nobody really asked me if I get qualification for that. Nobody really asked me if I get any training for that. Once I grab a common and I say me a journalist, I say me a journalist, that's it. But that was what I think they bring down the profession officer. And we believe, say, then for set standards, for say, for make somebody be a journalist, we expect you to do this kind of training, and you get credentials there. But they award you after having gone through this training for become a journalist. If you do that, you streamline that one way, but then you will begin to get quality. Also, all Tom, Dick, and Harry go inside, they go well, so you want them way really a journalist. If you get a passion for journalism, then you for able and for once for go through the journalism school.
So let's say excellent statement. So let's say some of we go na the classroom, maybe we go even earn the best grade, the A or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, we don't get complaint of this same one that we get the credential where it be said and they decide or select the type of news where they want to bring to the attention of the public. So again, sometimes it is necessary for we follow all due process in terms of the educational aspect. But if you get the best grade or you work for the best, whether it's CNN, BBC, local Channel 7 News, just to name few, Star TV, AYV, but then you select because of affiliation or influence of political influence, then also it's not in the interest of Sierra Leonean, regardless of the credential whether journalists they don't earn. What's your take on that? Oh boy.
I agree with you. But certainly you have to start somewhere. If you insist on the requirements, if you insist on the fact that before they call you a journalist, if you don't go through certain measures of training and you forget a certificate, it definitely will reduce the amount of people that already jump into journalism, okay? Because I will tell you for a fact, the one them where they teach all the time on the wrong side of the law, and the one them we know understand the protocols we involve in journalism. Certainly, you're right. You get some people that way just want to practice yellow journalism because of politics or because of the bribe and some money we enable for walk away from. That's understandable. But if you start with what you say so, okay, you don't professionalize the profession, okay, then you will actually begin to manage whether the kind side or whether they go that way. Start there.
So,
okay. One thing we may learn when I go into politics, I go into the private sector, and in the private sector, I have for me profits, I care for me the organization I work for. But when I went into politics and I go into public policy, now for learn how to develop policy, whereby I didn't look at just one individual, but I did look at a whole group of individuals and see which is best for the people they do. If I don't learn anything down in our land from the last week what I do as alone, okay? Inside a group, then there's some man doing what I do, but you look at the majority. When you bring about policy, what they target one person, I will say, okay, the policy would be, if you want to be a journalist, you get to put a bond of $1 million. Okay, whether not host, whether not cash, whatever it is. If you go make a statement, you go write something where a libelous, defamation of somebody in character, possibly carrying in a court, and they win in a court, you go forfeit that money, they go forfeit some of that money. Okay, that's a policy. Now they will make journalists wake up and say, oh, if I go do something, we're foolish. They can remember for saying against what's our losses. But if everybody grab every morning and take back, we take credit for that and say they're journalists. It's difficult. It was difficult. Then the law, 1965 Public Order Act, certainly not a bad law. But the problem is, when you pull that law, I know they're against not pull that law. But the problem, I don't tell you which is the problem. Me as spokesman not to waiting me feel. Now waiting the government want to do now they talk. Waiting make they do, waiting they do. Now, the issue there was, when you pull this law, you don't open a floodgate. What you will bring in place of her, should in case you continue to forget yellow journalism, people are really constantly engaged in libelous act.
So wonderful. So, but Sierra Leoneans then also go ask say, if the politicians are concerned about opening a floodgate, if the interests of them, the people, not in priority, and for net the people then gets the truth out, then we'll wonder why they for be concerned about open a floodgate, as you go name them.
I think say we all know, and you don't need for be a lawyer for that. Just being having experience in life, you for no say for talk about somebody we do bad, not to crime any side as long as not true.
Yes.
You go talk you any side, anywhere, anytime, as long as not true, not too bad.
Yes.
But if I go talk something going to true, I'm able to substantiate that this is not true, then I don't impugn, then I don't defame, then I don't reduce your dignity and integrity. You don't suffer a loss.
Yes.
What happens to me? We do that. What happens to me? We do that. So that's the delicate balance where successive government, I think, they face. Will say, okay, if we remove the law, okay, what will we bring up? Currently, what's in happen now? We get the government really in office, where because of really political and selfish reasons, put on a manifesto or say this will be given. No questions asked.
That's exactly where one land real quick, sir. No, fast forward to that. The current administration, many believe that the sitting president first used COVID-19 and used the legislative branch, specifically the honorable MPs, to declare a 1-year state of emergency. He then used executive power to protect those same MP not to visit the temporal order within the agreed time, which was, if I'm not mistaken, either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Finally, he's making every effort to silence critical voices or those who dare to challenge injustice, but not only failing to repeal the label law, but by also putting them behind bars. Sierra Leoneans will wonder, what is the change? What is the new direction? What is the democracy, as the sitting president will refer to himself as the father of democracy? Come back in, sir.
Yeah, well, few things that they inside which you talk so just now. We talk about the law himself, which in the intent to do, which in the say that we do, which in the don't do thus far. And you also bring up something we have to do with state of emergency. Obviously, the state of emergency, we believe, say, the health state of emergency, meaning that this state of emergency is actually provoked because of the corona. And I mean, legal supports that all day long. They say, you know what, while we get an epidemic, where they kill people and any potential for wipe out the whole country, government can't forget a free hand to take certain actions. Okay? People that get civil liberties, people that get rights, okay, where the constitution give them freedom to associate, freedom to talk, freedom to move, go inside, you want to go, when and how, nobody want to ask me if I choose for him, I go, like I do so. Okay? Choose now, say I want for me near a beach. Within 20 minutes, I'm going to the beach. Within 15 minutes, I'm going to now outside. Which we said, man, Jackson, in Florida. Within 20 minutes, I'm going to the beach. 10 minutes, I know, that's what I want to do. Okay? That's what I want to do. I show people in Sierra Leone day. But when Corona comes, there's going to be a need for regulate people in movement because of the advice of the masses and the people there. Okay? You cannot be moving around. But to do that, you need to suppress the law. And that is where normally we will get a state of emergency. Governments will ask, the president will ask for a state of emergency. Okay? And it will be reasons then as to why you want the state of emergency.
Correct. So how can the president, like how you say, suppress the law for the interest of the citizen, but at the same time not abuse a own executive power for whether it is going after maybe main opposition, as many go look at it as that. So how can we use it? Is vital that we put measures in place for now we contain or eradicate the deadly disease. Fact. But then on the other hand, places like United States of America where or Italy where it gets the worst cases, you understand, they don't ever declare 1 year. Could it be that if we've been taken gradually, maybe 6 months or 3 months, and then revisit if it feels that the need to increase, we go from there? What's in your take on that, sir? Come back in.
Okay. The people that win our parliament will understand when they look at things beyond routine they see. Okay, therefore able to stop that, therefore able to look at how they know they do things in the past and stop them and regulate how they will bring the state of emergency, be it incrementally or be it food or whatsoever. Me and you will say, if you now law abiding person,
Yes.
you don't get nothing for worry about on state of emergency.
Yes.
Okay? If you're a law abiding person, you do what you're supposed to do and live according to the law, really and truly, state of emergency no matter to you.
Absolutely.
It affect you anyway.
But then you look at the same MPs them will be agree if you listen to the likes of Honorable KKY, then say they complain. I'll say the agreement was for them revisit the state of emergency within 2 to 3 weeks. Now it don't suppress that agreement. So that's where the concern come in place for Sierra Leoneans. Yeah, come back in, sir.
The parliamentarians then, let them before don't look into this and actually not allow them to pass. But then again, they don't have the numbers. You know, we can blame the parliamentarian and all we want. Most of the time say, hey, whether they make loan and they will do this. But, you know, the majority in parliament, what in they want in the past. Okay, the APC when at the majority, you see what happened. From the onset when the government starts, they pose the speaker, they pose the deputy speaker, they make sure say they play around with the judicial system to the extent where they reduce the numbers then we lost the majority in our parliament to the extent now nothing other able to do. We parliamentarians really go huff and puff all day, but actually there's absolutely nothing you can do. The ideal situation which you look for, which is a true democracy, like the situation where you will have one political party at the executive arm, you have another political party at the legislative arm. So then why also now, we then get independence and then they argue things out and make sure say whatever they do now in the best interest of the general public and society in general. Inside out there, the judiciary should have been independent and can interpret that in law. But that is not what we have now. What you will get the SLPP and then get the executive, the SLPP and then get the legislative, which means everything goes. Everything goes. I mean, within our parliament, the whole space, but there's absolutely nothing we can do. So we don't see example. I mean, constituency 110, there was an elections there. This is an APC stronghold, very APC stronghold. 97% of the polls they don't close, and you only get a few more polls left, we constitute 3%. And when they find out, say, we will win that area, then come, they set hala, scatter the place, broke all team, sexy, they know arrest nobody, no one, nobody. But forget that part. The fact that the electoral act say when you get a vacancy in a constituency within 90 days, if you don't get election, how long has it been? Parliamentarian can't do anything about it. They are there to make laws. Eventually, then they get the power. The APC will get the power in the parliament. They will stand firm and say, no, this law there, law has to happen. Somebody will have gone to court and say, no, this is wrong. Okay, we don't go ultra-virus, the electoral act, and so on and so on. But not the good one. Okay, how am I able to do nothing? So, the parliamentarians have no blame the move. Okay, because they don't have the power to do anything in their position. They are very powerless.
Absolutely. So, certain set of Sierra Leonean go say them strongly agree with all what you say they in place, wherein the other set of Sierra Leonean go say that is why it's vital for now we set the correct precedent where it be say go be beneficial for every administration where they come in for the future. Some go argue say they bring back the example of the then president where it take the decision for get rid of the elected vice president. So, what you think about that, or what you go say, or in the example of another student when we talk about this same 1965 act, a young student from Frabe College was also arrested during President Ines Baikorma administration, despite the fact that she was later acquitted of all charges. The fact remains that many will look at it as also an abuse of power. You understand? So how we go able for comot na that place wherein that maybe every administration come, then they do the same thing, and then it become a pattern, a vicious cycle. So what you go say to those set of Sierra Leoneans we go bring that type of argument, say, because they don't do them, so hence the reason why this administration also go against the law. Some go say, well, they don't say then a new direction and they come for do better, so we expect better from them. So what you go say, being the spokesman of that then administration?
Well, you specifically reference a young lady with the Fabi College who they arrest, eventually then acquitted of those charges. Let me deal with that, let me make that clear. This was at a time where were made on social media for sale, all man for all black at a particular day. Nobody know for go school, nobody know for open shop, because the bankers begging, they born motoka, they born anybody, they shop over. Okay? That individual way we talk to, we get a hold of such message and it disseminates it, it started.
Okay.
And indeed, there are people in there will make that yesterday. From all they wear black, then beat people and at it. Then beat people there, then put fire upon motoka them, then put fire on people, they shop, people they run, they make the country ungovernable, they make our uncontrollable. Mama and Papa they won't go to school for go take their picking and come on and create serious disruption to what happen to everyday movement by the country. Okay? So the cyber crime unit, like the police department, decide call that individual or investigator to find out if not disseminate, no more disseminate them, or in fact if she is part of the arrangement we set up that kind message they can pass them out and actually carry on the atrocity they do.
I see.
And
so in her case,
everybody's considered innocent including guilty.
Right.
I think she was detained, but after they don't go through what and go through, find out, say, well, they don't get much for answer. They left her.
Okay.
But there was a reason for that.
So, but that was great. So that's a great example. So in her case, it basically do the planning, it instigates, then they also do the actual action. But at the end of the day, they still pardon them and let them go.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. So then in a good clarity. So now we go in the case of the Injala student saga protest versus the Lincoln University saga. Many go say it's a clear manifestation of poor response from both administration, responsible by our police officers, whom are supposed to be the guarantors of both state property, but especially to protect the lives of Sierra Leoneans. Why such use of force by both administration?
Jalloh University, memory will serve me right. One thing I want to left office, so these facts I may not have any more, but make a try. Jalloh University, the way the university had been run, they run as more like a public-private partnership arrangement. Beside government, their interests, but they run by themselves. Government they take the money and give to them, and it's up to them for determining how much professor they want, how much associate professor they want, almost assistant professor they want, almost lecturer they want, which they want engaging in terms of research, how they want for spending money, almost salary they want for paying people that they almost speaking they want admit. Now they don't have for themselves. Okay? So the problems you had with Jalloh University at the time was one where the allegation was that the administration, okay, they promised for the raise to lecturer and they're not mixed up obligation. Furthermore, lecturer they don't retire and they're able to receive their retirement benefit. And then see the administration, they spend money on other things that we don't consider frivolous. Building a guest house, white elephants projects there and so on and so forth. And so their lecturer the day gets a union. That union don't sit on many occasions. They talk to the college management. They say, "Well, we don't say that so we do not do." College management they promise say for the very last time I don't promote and say I will do this. So you get to a point where the association now said, "No, believe the college management again. Say, listen, I don't make so many promises, you haven't been able to keep it." Okay, so therefore, the only thing we can do now is for down the tools. So the lecturer then down the tools. When they down the tools, the student then they go to class, lecture another day. Well, down they're going for a considerable amount of time to the extent where the student then before actually lost any opportunity for get credit for that year and then for lost a whole year in the university trajectory. So then decide say they want for strike. Okay, and when they try for strike, a group comes simultaneously like the president's house, the president lodge, the last gate. Going to the president, you get 3 gates. You go to the called Charlie 1, you go Charlie 2, then you get inside and for go inside. Then Canada Charlie 1 gate, they can get again. Okay? Of course, their intention was to let the president see them, they can make a complaint. But security personnel, when you see that many students in that number, hold banner and hold tick, you are worried though for your principal. At the same time, also, you get a set of students already now 43. You get a set of students already now go we set up. So the student, it was legitimate, but it was rather misunderstood as to what they intend to do because they do have unannounced and just come as close to the president in a host, So the security officer then actually tried to push them back, and in that process they some stuff with them. It was a clear misunderstanding. I would not have advised them to do that. Certainly there could have been other ways because you could be misunderstood. You go to the president in Vermont, with weapon, you go to the president in Vermont with tick, when I go get that in numbers. You have to understand now. No other way they understand, from the security perspective. So those things happen, and that didn't happen with Jalloh University. That did not happen with Private College. No, because Private College, they manage their business properly. Okay? You talk about Lincoln Green. Lincoln Green went well. I think to say the new government will come, certain things that they will give it all put in place. Then for come as government in continuity, and then decide for stop the contract will be done. Again, that move there, they stop the student ability for study. So they cause a riot. Okay, but we don't see this not only in Lincoln Green. We see the Malama Airport project. Okay?
Yeah, that's something I want to ask you for later too. Yes, definitely.
Malama Airport project, they get the potential by now, okay, for don't be far in the advanced stage for hire 30,000 Sierra Leoneans. 30,000 Sierra Leoneans, because in the establishment of an airport, not only the airfield, but the building, the plumbing, the electrical work, okay, the renting the way they go underground, how they call them, covert work, iron bending, masonry work, a tractor moving around of heavy freight, sand where they come, gravel where they come. So there were a plethora, plenty of 30,000 jobs would have been created by this time if they carry on with that project, really. But government can decide, say, no, an APC program down there, I'm not going to do it. When they can be released, we're at 2 points, something billion dollars. The abandon of project, it was only $315,000. Okay? $315 million for a 2 point something billion project. We must start. I think the understanding was they were supposed to start September sometime. Hasn't started. It's not going to start. We'll never start. Forget about that.
So
Okay?
now I've been planned for bring a later. I think said that in a great topic for now we touch on. Many Sierra Leoneans, like you say, similarly go look and say the Mamama Airport was something where go generate income, and in the end it go them go also use that income for develop Sierra Leone and Sierra Leonean as a whole. Then other look and say it's a disadvantage or whatever the case may be. So obviously you don't already take your own you don't give away your own insight in detail of how beneficial that projects they for being be if them for be look on a national point of view versus the partisan point of view. So could it possibly be that maybe it's because the suggestion or the planning come from the main opposition? Do you think that may necessarily be the case why then decide for totally and entirely get rid of that project?
Clearly, of course. And the reason why I bring that account now for just provide more evidence to substantiate the fact that the new government not they continue with projects that we can meet, but rather they cancel contracts them left to right, and they can bring down the come up. And certainly, like you say, it is quite partisan. For saying, you know what, like APC program down there, like APC people don't get for benefits from now, and as such we will stop it. But after it's all said and done, you say one country, one people, 10 people and they were an APC, na NGC, na SLP, na SSLP. As long as one Sanu man get work with the benefits from, all the people in the end I'm going to benefit. Okay? They can go for pass money to the one they do. As long as person get money in pocket, you don't remember say, I want for Baba. They go to Baba, Baba say, okay, as long as person get money, people say, but you know what, I want to eat beef and chicken. Okay? They go to Buchaman, they go buy beef and chicken. Okay? When they do that, then one day they say, okay, well, in other words, you stimulate the economy, you get the economy moving. So it was a really partisan move, but it's not a terrible move because you really frustrate an economic stimulation effort. Okay, where Sierra Leone for all benefit from. But I think to say all said and done, I just don't know how. If you don't study something, you must have no more.
So I like where you give clarity to the audience too regarding the comparison with the Injala and the Lincoln University. So with you, they says that there was not excessive force used on the Injala students them, but in the process of trying for guide the state house or the home of the then president, that's where unfortunately the accidents happen. Is that what we're getting?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It was a terrible mistake on the part of the student for the president in house can stage protest day. Yeah. Okay, then before do in a much more formal way. This way, the security apparatus understand what you do. But when you fail for do in that manner, they just can't happen. The security apparatus to see and say, the president like they are under threat. Okay, now I think saying a bull. Somebody one young person lost his life again police arrangements in an effort to try to provide security for the majority of people then that scuffle they can with somebody lost his life. But at no point in time did the APC government attempt for arrest students or arrest people then lock them in jail or prosecute them for no reason whatsoever.
So for that incident then the way it happened, did the then president able to address the nation for show condolences or regrets with the force way the police officer then used at that time, from your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
When you say the president then, President Kuruma, La Cobra, and now much like the APC party where he belongs from, La Cobra party, particularly in the promotion of grassroots expectations. Okay? On many occasions, President Kuroma will call meeting where they call all political parties for seeing a one way front to the yet, and the war don't fit, the war don't come back, you know, the way again. President Kuroma taken very seriously that if we manage the country, we grudge and animosity not for thee. And certainly, in a way, don't let office so now. I'm not saying the whole left office at once on the way some situation will come up with, they tell me directly, because say, listen, I don't fit. The 10 years to make this country go together. You know, we want to play this country. Not at all. You know? So that is why
Wonderful.
If you go back to when he was president, on several occasions, even when he would come out of the country, he would make speeches, society talk about being together, reference things that really happen, and anytime something happens, we will come out of your job. Okay, not to president, we absentee landlord, we not go away from, I not go see him. No, a president, we talk to people and we connect with people, and every step of the way.
I want to go to corruption. Corruption is a disease, many go say. Now, a disease that is designed to collapse any economy and equally is designed to handicap its citizen to the point of forcing them to become dependent or beggars. During your time as a government state man, me know you, but this now for the benefit of we audience. Have you ever involved in any form of corruption or corrupt activities, either it be financially or bribery to etc.?
No.
Thank you. The COI, Commission of Inquiry, advice has been made by numbers of judges, but yet we have seen nothing done in that area to hold anyone accountable. What is your take on that, sir?
I sit on back and I look at the COI. The COI instituted because of the GTT report. In the GTT report, the haste with which we do the statements which were made inside of the GTT and around the GTT, in fact, shows they don't find certain people that are guilty before they even go investigate them. Okay, to the extent now, after they don't spend huge amount of money, that GTT report we see the Minister of Transport, okay, and the 100 buses, corruption within inside that not and so on. We sit down, we listen. Commission of Inquiry done. Nobody never can talk about that never came up. One. Plenty other team in there we then the GTT report we never can. Before that, the whole time when they found funny things then we call doctors if they have lied and come where he can't defend himself to the point where the judge said they look when they shaking it. They say, wow, this woman is supposed to be a lawyer. This kind of proper person. You know, because the funny things they can't begin talk about. Can't begin talk about say that woman beats speaking. Can't begin talk about say somebody go look for ambulance and so on and so forth. You know, say that's not common sense. That is substantial common sense when you can't be a politician, so to speak. Okay, certainly some professional heads then they will find culpable. Some civil servants that they will find culpable, but politicians per se, not enough common sense really. Okay, but again, you go back and look at the GTT report. The statements they were made, okay, their statements were categorical. They were categorical. And after that, you see where people were supposed to be respectable, for uphold integrity and dignity. Ministers, they go on television, they go on radio programs. They actually prosecute, indict people involved. So what you set up a CIO for now, Commission of Inquiry, one at it. Now the team don't come, they don't pass, they don't spend huge amounts of money. It's a brilliant idea for check government, governments for more, but certainly this was a waste of time and a waste of money.
Thank you, sir. Inclusion or bipartisan approach for any governance is necessary or is a necessity for a successful nation. How inclusive was the Dr. Ines Baikorma administration? Can you also back your statement up with some example, please?
I'm sorry, I don't get that question.
So inclusion, like to be inclusive or a bipartisan approach, as many go agree say an ingredient necessary for a successful nation. How inclusive was the then Dr. Ines Baikroma administration? And can you also answer that with some example, meaning that they bring all walks of life together, whether you be Limba, Timini, or whether you be SLPP, NGC, C4C, just for an example. How inclusive was his governance or government?
And I know over celebrates the answer they really well, but it's a simple fact. President Kuruma na a Cobra president. President Kuruma na Kumburi believe in peace around the whole the country together. And in fact, when you talk about inclusion, I will tell you, say, to some of we, well, like APC people, when you say you are doing something, you don't pass by. Okay? Because when we look at the cabinet first to start with, okay, you get people of all shades and color. Talk about people from the south and southeast, and you see like the evidence is there. Musa Tarawani, the minister, Dr. Sako, minister, the gentleman Agibu Tejan, the organizing secretary, former minister of social welfare, okay, now from Tejan, okay, we start first with Tasheku Kuruma, Komona Kailaun, was minister of health, okay, and plenty people that we no Komona, they not beside the president, Komona, beside the they're not in government. There are plenty. And we keep go further and talk about women. Women. In inclusion of different sects of people now in government, not stop as just the banded with different tribes or from different regions. Okay? Rogers, Mr. Rogers was Deputy Minister of Fisheries. He's even currently the chairman of the South. We'll not take the woman himself. Now, under President Kuruma in government, we get more women with South than any other government has done. The first Chief Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone, under President Kuruma government together.
That's another question what we want to ask later, but go into it, please. If you can name, if you can recall, how many women then we been get the opportunity for put in sensitive or prestige position equally to that of the
plenty, but I will name but a few.
Okay.
The first Chief Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Nami Auntie, Hon Agibu Tejan Jalloh. Okay, she became the first Chief Justice. The first Director General in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Nami Auntie Chomi also. Rassi, Ambassador Rassi Tembo, the first woman, State Chief of Portugal, the State House, President Kuruma, that's impossible. Ambassador Rassi Tembo. The first Director, Auditor General, that's Salon, President Kuruma, and Miss Lara. Okay? The Executive Chairperson of EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, okay, Jatu Jalloh. Woman, President Kuruma appointed. The first woman for head SLRSA, Sierra Leone Road Safety Agency, Sarah Bendy. Now, woman, President Kuruma appointed. The first Director General, woman, of National Revenue Authority, Haja Kala Kamara. Now, woman, President Kuruma appointed. Okay? President Kuruma even go na ECOWAS, na African Union, he go advocate, ECOWAS, yes, advocate and push for make we get the first from Sierra Leone vice head of parliament, where now the leader of parliament, the leader of government is the leader of the minority at the time, where Dr. I don't forget her name now, wonderful woman, wonderful woman, SLPP. She studied agriculture and the head of the minority group of parliament. I don't remember her name. Okay, but a bunch of women there, they will hold high positions in Sierra Leone, and in many cases, the very first. If you look for inclusion, waiting on inclusion.
Well said, sir. Thank you for clarity. The last time I had the opportunity to have an interview with Honorable Cherry Coco, commonly known as Cherry Coco, I asked him whether parliamentarians they work in the interests of Sierra Leonean, or then just they work towards their own interests for them just occupied seats in the parliament. And what I further go in detail wherein I make an example of wherein that mommy na Congo markets or that mommy within a Dove court, so we basically only depend on God, and then secondly the small thing where it make for in Pekin for educating Pekin, then all they vote for them in the hope that when they go in, they will be the voice for the voiceless. They will be the one that where they work for them and take them from that poverty to making them get to that point where instead of them they go sell in a Congo markets, then they only depend for go pick pepper and sell. Sometimes they self go get to that point where they will get their own big shop, then get from point A to point B. For the one that we know get the opportunity for go na classroom. So having said that, what's in your take of the action then, or the amount of effort where the parliamentarians then they make na parliament? Some also go look and say maybe they are limited to how much they can say, because at the end of the day, in the case of the 10 parliamentarians where they stand for waiting and believe, at the end of the day they will forcefully remove the elected parliamentarian. So come back in and give your take on that, sir.
Parliament now in numbers game. Parliaments are charged with making laws. Parliaments get leadership. The head of parliament is the speaker. The speaker now in the give talk for talk. If you not give talk for talk, then you not get talk for talk. So therefore, the fact that you get the opposition, we only get power to change things within the majority, okay, then read them and steal and thief that majority in their hand, okay, coupled with the fact that the speaker landed you talk for talk, it means that you're powerless.
Yeah.
It means you're a lame dog. I mean, I'll talk fine. I mean, we can play around and talk words and make turn the word the eye and turn on. But honestly speaking, the parliament will get a rubber stamp parliament, because the executive branch, president will bring an instrument, kind of parliament, except you want to be a maverick like Hon Agibu Tejan, who's being chastised every now and so often. But I'm always seeing that okay, I want to do what you like. But for the most part, the rest of the parliamentarians, you see what you're having. Now, rubber stamp. When they bring an instrument we can, if they pass, the opposition will get a number for challenging, for stopping.
But when you look at it legally, they did have initially, Sierra Leoneans go say, then did get the number way for being, where I can always say it could have been a very interesting administration, knowing that the main opposition carry a huge amount of decision making, wherein the executive too get for depend on the main opposition for make sure say the right thing is being done, which is for the interest of the country and the citizen as a whole. Come back in, sir.
Sierra Leone would have been reported as one of the most democratic countries if the government in power not do what they do for dubiously change the number of parliamentarians within either side. It'll be quite interesting because we would enjoy the debate on issues. We would enjoy the debate on waiting matter, waiting not matter. At the end of the day, now the people of Sierra Leone that they will benefit, because the objective there would not have been towards one political party. It would have been towards waiting in at the interest of the people of Sierra Leone. What you have now, it's a parliament where they try and talk or act on the beck and call of the executive branch. When the president send an instrument down to parliament, whether are you for grab good challenger? And will tell you was 77K.
So what?
77K na the provision of the constitution, where if you don't go to put in the party say, they'll kick you out. And if you don't get party where you not should ship that parliament automatically.
Sad. So why many Sierra Leoneans, they still wonder why the international world sees such things they go on, such precedent is being set in terms of the elected parliamentarian, and still not step in for say net and do the right thing, or from my understanding then come in, but yet still nothing was done in the favor of the one then where the people then say they want in a parliament.
When you establish a country, you establish a republic, you get what's in and call a sovereignty pact. When I say sovereignty pact, and therefore say you as a country, you get territorial integrity. Sovereignty in all the stop on the demarcation of who side the country within a planet, and the world. The parameters for saying you get, but all the thing you have to inside also, you get right. Whether international community for can join inside the business. No.
I see.
Okay,
so
international.
Okay, they don't have. They only have saying to a certain extent when it comes to certain decision.
Exactly.
But when you look so but if then still the influence we election, how it go forgo, how it not forgo, then when critical things like that, as in the example of, you know, such precedent is set, but yet still they not get the voice for basically coming clean up again.
Legally and don't, they can manipulate on the ground, do certain things, then do some massaging here, do some massaging there, but by law they cannot blatantly grab and can get involved in the business of the country regardless of waiting. That is why there are systems in place. If you feel aggrieved, you get a problem, there's a judiciary, go there, make you go complain, then they will interpret the law. There are controls in place for things that go irregular. But very seldom you will see a country grab common in your international community, then can mix by your personal business right then and there. No, the most they will do is if your views are akin to their own, support they support you, they will get that they support you. But certainly, you know, I can't force you to do anything. Sierra Leone they in a funny position really because a good 70% of the funding really guys are actually run the country, they come up from the international community. So certainly, with that much support really they provide with, collectively, the international community can together and talk against something we not correct, but not to normal practice for another country, guys are in business.
For can dictate. Okay. So now we go further for talk about development. Critics of your administration will say, "But the pan just not do much, not only what they make," and some will say, "Well, the president embezzle money, do much for anything, for this the interest of the people." There, what thing you go say if you have you have the opportunity? Now, say you give about 10 with accomplishment where you feel say apart from the road, where you feel say now a blessing from that administration, where many of the critics them of your administration not gonna know, or with how you will respond to them in regards to that statement, say not do much or not just the road there no more, so on and so forth. Come back in, sir.
I can hear plenty people that can compare Sierra Leone to Ghana, compare Sierra Leone to other countries and whatnot and so on. And I say, may God let them convert to stop that. When I forget to compare with other countries, of course. Now compare Sierra Leone to Sierra Leone in time. Take either a 3-year period from 1996 all the way down to 2018. And then you look at the macroeconomic indicators there, you look at certain services there which government they provide, you look at what you know may happen at the country from that time. Okay? Maybe 1996 too far, people don't remember. So we did war that time. But now check out since we talk about just the same way APC kind of power in 2007. In 2007, Sierra Leone was considered the darkest city in the world. And not to be a figure of speech, but a fact. Lights no day in the country. Then we talk about Kaba Tiger all the time. Kaba Tiger all over the place. They're small machine with a 1.5 kilowatt. All over the place. Sierra Leone, okay, was able to develop capacity in terms of electricity from, I may remember the number again because I don't know, I don't left that whole play for a long time. But from inside you, they get just enough electricity for light section of Brookfield to inside the whole Freetown. Okay, they light now. Makeni, they light. Maborka, they light. Bo, they always they light. Down there, even became more enhanced. Kenewa, okay, became more enhanced. Kono, we don't see light for 30 years. Begin see light. Every district headquarters town in Sierra Leone, there are 5 kilometers of road paved. Every district headquarters in Sierra Leone gets so much of pipe-borne water. All of them are in a development. When you look at the taxes we will be bringing in 2007, compared to the amount of taxes we will be bringing in 2010, there was a 150% jump. How taxes they come? Taxes they only come, we create job, we create economic activity. Okay? People they pay them PYE. Companies they pay the corporate taxes. So if you tax move or you tax improve by 150%, it means there is some economic activity. It means you don't attract business kind of the country. Okay? It means people are working. You look at the exchange rate at the time, we were able to hold the exchange rate up to the time of one office. So 750,000 okay, to the dollar. 3 years prior, for what kind of office, now be 430,000. You look at the movement of exchange rates in the time when we did it, you look at the movement of exchange rates from the time we commodity, the exchange rates don't become 10 times worse than what it was. But that exchange rate is also supported mainly by export. So that also they tell you, say, there was some economic activity going on in agriculture. The exchange rate, like I said, is supported by export. It meant that because when boat can salon, the boat can't now. When the boat could load, it's a gun, you get for pay that captain $1 to make it good. But if you can't pull load, you put a loan, you pay $1. But then you take the load, you put it inside the bag, they give you back $1. Now if you're able to talk to America, they say the balance of trade, or they say trade deficit. Trade deficit is a situation where either you begin, you can't put load, you get money, you pull load, you get money, you go down, you don't put load on top for let you money back. Okay? So at that time there was some activity in agriculture. And I make this way for make the layman understand this. Okay? And I want to talk in an economic term. I want to understand it here. Okay? So these are the things you're looking for. You look at the inflation rate. The inflation rate, the rate at which the amount of money where they go buy goods, they reduce in power. Okay? That was by far better than what we have seen now. Okay? We actually improved the inflation rate from what it was when we take over government to the time where they come on office. In fact, if we were able to talk to Sierra Leone was the fastest growing economy in the world.
Absolutely.
It was the fastest growing economy because of the things that really happened, because of the GDP growth rate. The GDP being the gross domestic product where the value then where you look at to determine the country in wealth. And I don't want to get too technical about aggregates of all the economic activity where they happen inside the country, the government, expenditure, we buying and selling things that we produce inside the country, finished goods and not intermediate goods. Then, of course, the balance of the income and exports, the differences, you add all of that, then the GDP for a period of time. Okay, GDP is measured in a period of time. Well, if you look at GDP 2007, you look at GDP of Sierra Leone 2008, 2009, 2010, you will see an upward trajectory. Every year, it will increase. Every year, it will increase to the point where GDP growth was 14%. At a time where the world and normal GDP growth now be only 3 to 5% for advanced countries. Okay, one can say that now the iron ore business now bring that kind of phenomenal growth they find. Okay, if the iron ore going to come, whatever going to come, it was growth. Whether Jonah swallowed the fish swallowed Jonah, swallowing took place. What happened at the country? It means that people let me work. It means that there was economic activity. It means that all other sectors of the economy, they actually shake. So you saw that only where Ebola came, where we manufacturing contract by 50%, meaning that the companies they will be attract because we get favorable laws there, we get favorable tax incentives for attract businesses. They only contract by 50%. Where Ebola came, agriculture activity contract by 30%. We see a contraction in the GDP, okay, by a great number, negative number, because the companies that we made the country they went away, plane left for cancer, boats left for cancer, people over they can do business they all go. We were on an upward trajectory. Okay, so if somebody say they ask a question as to what are the thing will the country do, then that person now to be honest, Sierra Leone is not the same Sierra Leone in 2007 as you had in 2010. No, sir, no way. In 2007, you they carry Mochwago and shop every other day because the gallop they're so plenty, but all over the town. It will take you 2 hours for Komo Freetown for going to Laka because the traffic and the Portona, the whole country. In real time, all levels that they fix, not what they fix but maintain. In real time, you can drive from Freetown to Banamuya, okay, in near 3 hours. Going to Putloko, 75 miles, before then was 8 hours. And you get dirty, they can't even chokate, I don't care what you do, they get dirty, they can't say dirty, close man, no matter what you do. It takes you 3 hours for get to Balamoya. From Balamoya now, for going again, it takes another 3 hours. Within 5 hours, you can move from Freetown to Conakry, you go conduct your business, you come back. Before then, it took you a couple of days to do that. Let me look at Kenema to Kailao. Kenema to Kailao will take you about another 6-7 hours. You can leave Kailao now and Camp Kenema in 1.5 hours.
Interesting.
All their roads, then, these all are priorities. Okay, you say, you know what, you make an invest in their roads here, so because their roads here will actually create economic activity. The people that get their products, the people that get agricultural products, whatever product they can, they need for come to the market. If they need for come to the market, then for God's sake, what good is their product? They can't sell this anywhere. Okay, and the one that we get agriculture, okay, before the volatility sets in, then product perish rotting, let us get enough road way somebody can come out na Kailao with whatever product you get. You don't kind of fit on. In no time, you won't bring it. So the development will happen at Sierra Leone was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, from the electricity to the water to the light to the roads and to the respect we develop and friendship we develop with the international community. And the Sidoma now, the current government will talk about when they come, IMF will not let go. IMF just will approve $140 million for them. Not because they can coax IMF. That's not lie.
So that's another thing I want to get into, and I want you just jump into it since you don't start. Some Sierra Leoneans get a knowledge say the then president will look at the disadvantage where it will cause Sierra Leonean for accept the condition given by IMF, and hence the reason why it decide for decline the loan. Some they say that IMF no approve the loan because X, Y, and Z. So now take the opportunity for give clarity to Sierra Leonean on that, please.
You know, we get international partners then in the country. Okay, we fall under what you know called less than developed country. Okay, we within a sub-Sahara, we all are today, including the Ghana regions in Africa. We are all lumped under what you know called less than developed countries. And therefore, with man country, they therefore they keep an eye on you, providing you the support to make sure say they before allow the citizens to at least live some kind of appreciable life. Okay, and that is why you get international partners there, where like the Department for International Development (DFID), when at the UK, where you provide you with soft support. Okay, they can help you with like Auditor General Department, and they bring the money until okay. They also they provide you with budgetary support for pay salaries, because already you want to get this issue of rendering, you know, the people with relevant skills there. How long they don't go overseas, they will not come back. So difficult. They will provide 50 million every year to make you pay certain professionals then in dollars amounts we commensurate to what they make overseas. So they are incentive to come back and come with us. Okay, we get the EU, we have plenty groups. Okay, they are supporting us. You go World Bank certain record, where as long as you present a project to affect people in livelihood, they will support you back. Okay, you get the ADB, you get the Irish support, you get the UNDP, you get Quality Fund, you get the GTC, German, you get JICA, Japanese, plenty. But then you also get IMF. IMF, International Monetary Fund, was established after World War. Okay, after World War II, they established the World Bank. The countries they can to product money and similarity, certain nation they not feel, okay, we will support them as long as they get a viable project. But we will also guide the project. So World Bank now they fund the way plenty of them countries are Sahelian now one of them they compete for their funds. Okay. Alright. But then the IMF they need for kind side for also teach and streamline them countries as well for make projects them set up goals and objectives with time bound, we also achievable. Okay, so then we can support you integrally and say, okay, you get this project. This project, I think to say we spend too much money on this, because spend money on that. So they guide you from it to not fail. So IMF they go north side. Okay, if Africa no day, less than developed country no day, IMF no get business for exist. Okay, it means that so many people go out of job. So anybody can say it's IMF, they come out of the country. That is not true. You get for me very reckless as a country for making not get an IMF program. But almost every African country gets an IMF program. Okay, we IMF now the moral guarantor. If IMF not say yes, this person okay, all the other donor partners then will support you and who say I want to lend money. So that's IMF will do. Okay. IMF will also develop incentive. Or say, hey, listen, okay, you don't do so well for this quarter. Okay, because IMF they put in the body, they work with you quarter by quarter. Okay. One of the challenges we will get now domestic resource mobilization. Like I tell you, where Ebola come, all the companies they will get, they run away. Therefore, the money will be the kind side. Okay, for make we pay salaries and do other things then if we don't reduce drastically. Okay, IMF we can insist knowing that this don't happen. Okay, your ability to engage in domestic resource mobilization, not only the kind side domestically. Okay, you need for do certain things. One such now the fear.
Yes, subsidy.
Subsidized. We fuel now supposed to be 8,000, but the government say no, charge 6,000. Okay, we will give you the 2,000. Okay, and waiting government will do now waiting and called indirect subsidy. There are certain taxes we then oil markets are for pay government. Okay, so if you don't pump 100,000 liter of fuel at 6,000, and you say I owe you 2,000 times 100 liter. Well, if you for pay me, if that 2,000 times 100 liter, now $3,000. If you for pay me tax, and then when you don't sell, that tax day, now $5,000 you get for pay me. Okay, I say okay, take the 2,000, just give me 2,000. By so doing, I don't indirectly subsidize the fuel. So government will make sure say, or keep the fuel low, let on mind forget fuel from this by economic activity, and they do indirect subsidy. IMF can say no. Remove that subsidy. Let the fuel go up, let people pay the right price. If it floats for 10,000, so be it. Well, we'll get arrangements with IMF. We they discuss and talk to them, but we know they can make on account take about one certainty and they will advise who will see the work. So as a government to say no, we know we do that. Rather, we will come with a plan where we will show us how we reduce costs. So we come with what we call expenditure rationalization. Never ever, as a government, declare austerity. Never ever. I don't like that word. There's so much I can see that I listen and shake my head. We don't ever declare austerity. Expenditure rationalization now what you declare, meaning that we reduce costs drastically. When they buy no new computer, when they buy no new motor car, okay, meetings they will for whole hotels them with the whole around our office system, we cut costs drastically, okay?
Nice.
All efforts to increase the domestic revenue mobilization. When we talk about austerity, like a situation where like motor man we get organ failure, this they feel, down in the field, down the heart they feel, kidney they feel. Now in again austerity, we don't go into that. So that is what the situation was. So IMF at one point, they don't look at what we do and gladly and give it 244 propose for giving 244 million, of which they will already give 53 million. But because the things that we ask for do, not we do because we believe say that one day in medical. So the welfare of the people there, they hold back on that other half money. Then blow down there out of proportion, say IMF not left the country, not there with the country. No. These are programs that where they happen quarter to quarter to quarter. After quarter, don't 1 3 months, they can't see them back again. We negotiate. We can't see them back, we negotiate. So that's how IMF works.
I think
Okay, so
I will concur because indeed, when I read the handover note to Sierra Leonean on this platform, the then president can specifically say he decide for go that route there because it will cause more disadvantage, right, or hardship for the citizen them. So it decide that instead of doing that to the people them, it might as well go without not getting that fund. So come back in, sir.
Right. So that's pretty much what it is with the IMF. But IMF they go no sir. Like I say, IMF they will guide you to make sure say the program the way you want to achieve. Whatever they like your plan as a government, they will achieve it. Then they look at your program and say, no, we need to say for do this, you do this, you do this. And but because they do so well, not only for that, they come up with an incentive for support me, for say, listen, when I don't try down myself and I don't do well, but we know what happened to now during this Ebola time. So therefore, we will provide now with this amount of money.
Wonderful.
Any money,
yeah, finish.
Just like as they roll it back because we know meets their expectation in the, But now we don't even see what's in there happening at this government where I've been listening to program 110 at the time where the finance minister bring the bill in 2020 financial bill with the kind of parliament with the provision of non-accountable interest for the president and the vice president.
Yes. That's another thing I will ask you.
Any Sierra Leonean we work with salt, we let the country. We see till like that one day. Any side where you see smoke fire, any side where you see small smoke, to God waiting there on thy back, you should be worried. You should be worried. If you get mine as a minister for bring the vision of that one to see the interest of the president and the vice president, they take, they're not going to be accountable. You should be worried. And he didn't try to explain all kind of, listen, this was a syndicate, this was a plan, they don't know what happened.
So when we talk about corruption earlier, corruption is not only the physical aspect, just the thinking alone, or the intention to even go that route can also be considered as corruption. Do you agree or not?
Of course. Of course. Certainly, of course. This particular two at the top, listen, the way governments where you come in office, whether in APC, SLPP, whatever, you only they can determine the tune. Okay? But the expectation, the thing that we will want, now the same. And the priority now different. Now the tune no more, how you go there, whether you want to jump in or whether you want to go there to get the style. Now the government they count, the political party they count. But all my one eat, all my one side for the door, all my one place for work, all my one take care of the family. Okay? That line are the thing. So therefore, the procedures that how they handle things are done by the civil servants who are always there. So these things don't change. A government, don't forget cabinet. Cabinet, like the minister then, where they in charge of the ministry. What's your deputy minister? You see people that make mistake plenty. Hey, this person, Mr. Newman, a cabinet minister. No. A cabinet minister, like the minister will be in charge of the portfolio, now in charge of the minister.
So the deputy for work under the minister, correct?
The deputy, they work under the minister. The deputy no gets no schedule. Now waiting the minister here and in a schedule.
Okay.
Okay, so deputy not to boss for himself. Yes, the same president I hired him. I give a job. But the deputy they work under the minister. What if the minister decides that this is what make you do? Now you do. If you don't want to give you nothing, every day you go to office, you put full on food, nothing all the way you do. Because you don't do nothing.
So in that case or that example, waiting can cause such unfortunate things for appear that the deputy now become the minister. Waiting can cause that. Is it? I want you to help me with that. I don't even know how to ask that question.
I don't understand the question.
So, like, in many cases, we they look at as the deputy minister as saying like for saying in the lead, na that administration. I'm sorry, na that particular ministry day. You understand? Wherein that's me personally, I don't even know the minister of that actual ministry. You understand? So how come now? Is it that who are we to blame for such activity? They continue where there's no correction, then they try for tell and say, hey, paddy man, sit down, you're not deputy, you're not a minister. So who now go blame for that?
In case of deputy minister, when they part of the minister as a senior colleague. Again, the difficulty that they again at government, I believe say we forget a schedule for deputy ministers. If you get a schedule for deputy ministers, at least the person know what to do, if you fulfilled, you're not going to bounce, really and truly. But the way we salon do a deputy minister, like I tell you, no schedule. The minister, the boss, the ministry, the deputy head. Whatever he decides, say, and work the way he get for do, where you want for be off to the deputy minister, and I the deputy minister.
Wonderful.
Well, you get deputy minister where they turn up, make like say the minister.
Yeah.
Where you get some minister where good plan they get for best. You sit down quietly. You get an issue then.
Yeah. Will they take a quick commercial and then will they come right back? Yeah.
Morning, Barbara. You okay? Come on, change that dressing you do. But you've had about 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Is that okay with you? Yeah. Did you sleep well? What are you reading today? Oh, so you're
Okay, sir. I know say when we left off with the deputy minister and the minister in role. We will try for give a better understanding. I don't know if you want to labor further on that, or if not, now we move forward. And I welcome back.
People must understand that we get what they call minister, minister of state, deputy minister. Okay, the minister of state now, the full minister, you get the salary of minister, get all the tea we with the minister, but they not their portfolio, they not their cabinet.
Okay.
A minister, like in the go cabinet. So not to all man go cabinet. So if you get 10 ministry, then 10 ministry, and then the minister will in charge political head, like in the go cabinet.
Okay.
We go to cabinet now, take in order. President the also. The next thing we can get at the Minister of Foreign Affairs, then you get the Minister of Finance, then either the Attorney General or Defense Minister, so under we a Defense Minister, then Attorney General, then Transport will keep going down. Okay, but inside cabinet move, all man with a secret, all man with the inside the name then I sit, not all man they go there. So Deputy Minister no they go there one day. Okay, so you can read people we want a cabinet minister. No. Cabinet minister and the minister will be in charge of the ministry. Now you get the portfolio, now you go to cabinet. Not to all man.
I see.
No.
Interesting. So now, when we're not going to talk about IMF and GDP or inflation without to not mention Dr. Samura Matthew Wilson Kamara. Many they look and say, oh, now you don't make the we money valuable. Now you cause this, now you cause that. What's it that you take on your own effort or as finance minister with the then administration?
Well, I don't know specifically which one will mean say I do this or I do that, but Dr. Samura Kamara as a person, I would tell you say like a level-headed man. Okay, apart from the fact that you get a wealth of experience, you don't work now, Commonwealth, you don't work now Sierra Leone as the financial secretary. Okay, the financial secretary and the professional head at the Ministry of Finance. Okay, you don't work as governor of bank, really in charge of monetary policies. You don't work as Minister of Finance. They don't work as Minister of Foreign Affairs. And in all inside and the way they work, they left an indelible footprint in terms of building the organization, puts them in a footing where they're able to realize results. When you go to finance, they structure as a minister the directorate to an extent where they begin to see improvement in the delivery. Okay, in terms of restructuring the developmental support office, the office where you look at revenue generation, the office where you look at development, because the refuse are attended. Okay, and when we go now on foreign affairs, we also see what we call it economic diplomacy. Embassies they will be open, we're able to bring a return on investment. Okay, that is where we just not go and scatter bullets, open office all over the place. Open office, side with strategic, side with the bring investments come back, return on investment. They also establish a CADA where you bring young professionals, about 30 young people who come up with it, develop it, make them able to understand the workings of government. So I think when you get somebody like that, it clearly shows this person a leader, approach measured, and work with detail and the accomplishment. High accomplishment. So Dr. Samura Kamara, fine gentleman. I don't get an
Thank you.
opportunity for the around them for the longest, I believe in the ability to do wherever you can.
Thank you, sir. National cohesion and stability now a significant role in the lives of not only Sierra Leoneans but every human being in the world. How did the then government help to see that you prioritize and ensure that, and also implement or provide, as an example of Maslow hierarchy say that in a one of thing where a necessity for every human being for feel comfortable, safety, you name it. So how did then government ensure that national cohesion or safety, stability was put as priority?
Again, Sierra Leone are important when I get this wrong. Relatively speaking, our poor country, the people in the way they live above the dollar a day, well established poverty level, a very small percentage, about 30 to 35%. So therefore, any government we can get a kind of a manifesto, and within that manifesto, we have a short-term, medium-term, and long-term approach. The short-term was the agenda for change. Medium-term, we look to the agenda for prosperity, and the agenda for change. And we put quick things that we will actually initiate, shake up, and boost up economic activity. And that might be the lights, the water, the road, things like that. Now, the agenda for prosperity of a situation where we have to create more jobs, we have to attract more companies, we have to attract foreign direct investment. In that aspect, it looks at the laws that we will bring around companies that we can bring in the mining activity or the agricultural activity or the manufacturing activity. Also, the kind tax incentive that we will get to make them attractive for the company decide for Cancer as opposed to Hon Agibu or for Botswana. Okay, so that again was reflected in the amount of exports that we will pull out. We should say yes, there has been an increase in foreign direct investment there. So, and all of that now we review to make sure say people are able to work their hands on us. People are able to work for work. And once they're able to work, then certainly they're able to move through this I think now psychology. When we talk about this Maslow hierarchy of needs, bottom man, the first you want physiological needs, close line the neck, close line back, move overhead. After that, the ones for securitize that one, make sure say they all the time. So those are the things we do. And only way more time not securitize the income we get, by the time they want to identify itself with other people and associate itself. And from that point, they move to self-esteem, and of course, the highest level of the hierarchy. But the agenda for change, so the agenda for prosperity, now with the view to make sure that every individual able to get in daily need and able to continue to play down.
Wonderful. When we talk about national cohesion, we cannot conclude that discussion without including the likes of retired Major Paulo. Immense role he played to see that Sierra Leoneans were safe and free from the hands of criminals' activities. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay.
Of course. We don't ever get any problem. The evidence very clearly, because we don't ever get any problems. We within our government, we know some things the world that people don't know. Issue like Yenga. Yenga might be an area where Sierra Leone area away to the Guinea border. Yanda, like Sierra Leone area, but my area where nothing not really pretty much. So Sierra Leoneans they don't really care, and the Guineans then they don't interact with the Sierra Leoneans to the extent that they don't really jump over the water. And water is separate way. They don't begin jump over the water. They get livelihood. They even use Guinea in that area. But the Minister of Foreign Affairs and certainly, of course, the Minister of Defense will be able from time to time to talk to the Guineans and able to take back that area with any problems and maintain Sierra Leone territorial integrity. So if there hasn't been any incursion hasn't been any war, any problem from outside, and certainly the Minister of Defense should be commended. And of course, Paulo, he also became Minister of Internal Affairs. Minister of Internal Affairs in therefore make sure so there is quietness within the country. People really go about their lives without any problems or issues. And other than a few skirmishes here and there, for which we see a gap and even under the name Faihu, we didn't have any problems. So certainly it was effective and successful.
Good, thank you. During the Ebola epidemic, you worked tirelessly alongside with us here in the state of New Jersey to ensure that a container was filled with donated items from Sierra Leoneans. That container was then dispatched by the late Mr. Alusain Sise, who at that time was the head of Chancery. We would like to know, or Sierra Leoneans would like to know, what did the late man did during the dispatch process, and who was the receiver back in Sierra Leone?
With regards to any time we get a pandemic, I can even remember saying, you subsequently interviewed me, so at one time I began in this country with we give plenty drums, and I think about 3 or 4 drums were
Six. It was 6, yes. Yes.
6.
Yes.
Yes, 6. 3 and 3. 6 is correct.
Yeah.
Where, of course, the late William Mansari, the ambassador William Mansari, and we're going to host you. We took that long, and they take it in the back there at second.
Yes. I commend you, salute you. Yes.
We took them on the load container. Again, like I continue for Chelsea Arena and Engi, Mr. William Mansari, ambassador, self come. We do it in for encourage the township for them to get a container. We stage the container by the fire department and at least go around and talk to people about the container. Well, certainly, what can happen is that in Sierra Leone, you get the Ministry of Social Welfare, when again they handle all donors, support really come for things like now and for national disaster, be it Ebola, be it mudslide, whatever national disaster. Now the Ministry of Social Welfare. So anytime when we get a large consignments like the one in the weekend, they can require for MEC they get tax waiver. Other than that, you don't forget tax. So because you don't forget tax waiver, the Ministry of Social Welfare get forget it more. Because now them they actually request the tax waiver because they say this they can't show me. And when once then taken, okay, then 10 they container they come outside. To an extent, one container will come. Then 10 they container they come Germany, container they come Yard, container. So now a huge consignment of container will come. Okay. So all within a number of containers they will come, but specifically outside this one they come on, this one they come on, no, they're not savvy down and no get time for that. So all they know is we get 10 container will come today, then 10 container get for you to over. So most people the way we send them container they especially from America, we look for accountability for them. They say somebody don't really receive the container and distribute it to them. Unfortunately, we also.
Correct.
The ministry, they make them go get their own container then distribute them. Who side they want to distribute them? You don't get control of who side they do it and who side they don't do it.
Okay.
And the reason for that,
yes.
And the same thing with donors there. Okay, we get donors in another way where they come abroad, can get a money for saying they will do issue for those, I don't know, say malaria, that's all. Where they go, all now go on one green corner. Okay, so government can focus inside again through social welfare and development ministry. Say no, on account, on account for country, we don't know some idea because now we are generally can support. We could tell them to say no, that's how you want to go. We already get 2 NGO we did it. No, you can't go here and I will be posting. Now will be posting. So the one who country to benefit from what you are the count. So at the same time, then container the day. When once you ship up, you don't get no control over the day. When you reach that salon, like the ministry, now in the go check them because you don't get the money for you don't ship up, you don't get the money you get for go pay for go pull that container. You will not do. Okay, but the ministry now able to get the waiver, and when once they get the waiver, we then take the container and take out all our container, open up and distribute it. So you don't know that you would have better, would have better.
So basically, the assurance is that it did go to the people the way it intend to, but they're not able to give specific okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, immediately after the presidential election of 2018, many saw you dancing and celebrating with the current administration, supporters and members during a period wherein many of your comrades were still grieving their lost. Some were succumbed to bad politics, either it's been physically attacked. To some cases, some lost their lives, as per evidence of countless photos that were made available to the public. Many consider you as a traitor. What or why you made the decision not to grieve or console your fellow comrades, but rather join the winning team, of which it's our current administration. Come back in, sir. Yes.
Okay, again, information out. If you get half an information, it lethal. It can mistake you, it can confuse you, it can talk what you're not correct. Talking about being aggrieved, who can be more aggrieved than me? Who can be more aggrieved than me? I speak for and on behalf of the government. There are plenty of other people who can talk for government from different ministries, but you get two people that in face, always in a television, always in a public forum, always they are abroad. They talk about the situations within the Sierra Leone. This Agibu presidential spokesman, Agibu Tejan. Okay, so these are two people who were charged with the mandate and responsibility to speak for and on behalf of the Republic of Sierra Leone. When we election London, okay, we had been defeated. The SFDP decide on one particular day to do a thank you bonanza at stadium. Agibu and T-Peps, who is Dr. Govt, left us in the afternoon. We say let we go visit former Minister Madina Rahman. On the way, we don't even know. Say, of course, when they get this program
celebration.
Okay. So just run into them people here. All my
night time begin dance.
You know, it's full up. So we don't ask, we must go so pack it for that. We pack it, I get a cousin named Francis, my name Steve. We get current likes and box on Steve. When I died, they sit down all the time. So I go there, go sit down. They keep complaining. Of course, there's a people man and they are around, they rap better and so on. You know, they win election. That don't mean for say we are enemies. So some young ladies there, they see me, they say, hey, look Mr. Agibu. You know, so they come inside the place. Mr. Agibu, he talk there, we beat you now. He talk there, we beat you now, man. You know, I don't look. Yeah, Agibu being Agibu. Hey, you know, if I take something, make something, if I don't let you know. You know, I said, I told you, I beat we, I didn't do it to go. I didn't do it. So the young, you know why again at salon, since you don't get an opportunity to talk to me, they see me on television no more, or you mean on radio, but you don't get to for Kanye and me.
Yeah.
Not knowing saying that down to earth person.
Yes.
Then I'm saying, oh my goodness. Hey, this man, we can see with coat and tie, they make two official. So now they talk so. You know what I mean? When they see you on television, say me saying that, big man.
Yes.
You know, say, hey, they say, you want to take pictures, you know, this man will make up. This will make up.
Yeah.
That's the show.
So you change the negative into positive, even though you grieve.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yes.
We take picture. Other one, they one time again, they take picture. So now they tell me, say, Banomelu, we tell that one, I said, the guy will wear red. You don't have the red green. I say, on a soda, they do, they say, you know, they say that they go wear red.
Politics.
What I did say that. So we took pictures.
Interesting.
Now, he says, take that picture, they said, now, so I send it to me. Now. Now, he says, poster.
Okay.
I said, Papa, for better. Okay. Within minutes, that picture, they don't go viral across the world. All man, they call all man. All man, they ask questions. People, they call me. I think it gave me a good feeling.
Yeah.
It gave me a good feeling for say me, somebody we recognize, that's Sierra Leone, and certainly recognize the APC. Okay? Because anybody else take picture like that, nobody will care about that.
Yeah.
But you go take picture like that, they go viral. People then they call, and then for weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a post now, Facebook where it gets over 300 something comments. So if you get 100 comments of somebody, not to like no more comments, 100 on Facebook. Hey, it means a popular way.
So
So
many.
if you go 300 something,
Right.
you know,
So many go look at you again, say that was also a good move for bipartisan.
But of course,
Yes.
you know,
Saying that.
But I wasn't bothered. After I can sit on some, I get one young lady, what's her name now? We current chairman, we current treasurer in Peking. Fatty, I think if I remember fine, Sanis is in Peking. You know, even I kind of patriotic, you might insult me. This my young lady where I think we really go school and together and insults me. I said, the young lady, listen, you don't need for insult me. My loyalty to APC, not to you, they can't question them, or not to you, they tell me. If I choose for the APC, I did the APC. If I choose for what I people, I mean, right, I'm a business. That's your business that. Hey, who's I'm going to die, they go. But I don't want to be SFP. I'll never be SFP. Be an APC. That's just the end of it. I did what I did because I think to say at the time I needed to change around what I do. Walk away from them.
Yeah.
Tell us I need to take picture. They get act like a sore loser.
But I think so when you look at again too, many Sierra Leoneans go agree that for now we build that strong bond as Sierra Leonean, irrespective of a political affiliation, when the need be, if like I can say like just like that similar example where you give, if APC can have power tomorrow, except people then for dance and say, hey, bo, we don't beat you, just like that provocation that you understand, where it be say we not forget that grudge and hate day for we self as Sierra Leonean for say, oh well this one don't win now, they go chap this one, you know. So I think say that in it makes sense from what you they say many Sierra Leoneans go agree with you.
Of political parties. Now, for make when I did an office, you criticize me constructively, you envy me to the extent where you will allow me to dot my eyes and cross my T's and make sure say I do the optimal work, the most highest degree of work for the people of Sierra Leone. If you able to talk me out of that, to talk people them otherwise and come, you can do better past me. Me say when I come back, if I able to come back, I can do better past you. By so society for growth. Now I don't show.
Yes.
But for come infect myself, argue myself, begin tell me say you know I said me like APC, go stop that nonsense one on one. Certainly me like APC, and I believe in the fundamental issues of APC. For God's sake. But I need to go envy you, or now I need to go keep you my list because you know I said it. Are you kidding me?
Well stated. Well stated. Well stated, sir. Well stated. Describe the personality and leadership skills of the then president, from which you know you having that opportunity for Walk 9 administration.
Rephrase that question again, please.
Yeah, the personality and leadership skill. How you go describe the then president, Dr. Ines Baikroma?
He's a perfect gentleman. President Kuruma is a perfect gentleman, really and truly. To some extent, we will work with him. Except say they can take too long for make decisions, and so decision we can make, we're not in that time because we can want make him act right away. But few months down the road, now we can see say step we take the fact that he measure his step and taking time. We don't want to go begin, you know. So really and truly, I think he's a born leader. God gets away for appoint people then. Like you can say leadership, not God they give you. When God give you leadership, you will enjoy the leadership. You will actually exhibit good leadership quality. And we see that on the President Nkrumah, very respectful. When you go overseas amongst your colleagues, then you will see small countries like Sierra Leone where you have to spend time with himself. No, they rally around him. They make him the chairman. President Nkrumah was chairman of Sierra Leone because of people like President Nkrumah. Because Sierra Leone today is chairman of this committee of 10. The committee will put together which we supposed to look at the charter, the World Bank, the World UN charter and what for reform. Okay? And because of people like President Nkrumah, decent man, like family man, very courageous, very like benevolent leader. He's a fine man.
Okay. One thing I find to be extremely fascinating, one of a cabinet member say, I don't know how true this is. Maybe you will confirm when it just come back in and to my mind where you mentioned about him being a respectful person. I understand. Say when I can get to them cabinet meeting them, if even it takes 6 to 8 hours, that man they sit on one place until all the entire meeting come to an end. Whether it takes 6 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. How true is that?
Make one correction. When they get cabinet meeting, the cabinet must certainly, of course, are within the vicinity.
Yes.
But that is quite true.
Wow.
President Kuruma, also with the endurance.
Wow.
The endurance in work, the endurance in the squash court, avid squash court player. Certainly, when they hold a meeting, they want to actually get to a logical conclusion. So if you require, it will take more time than we really not to let for adjourn that meeting. They will continue on until get to a logical conclusion.
Wow.
So you get a lot of endurance, seriously.
So
the same is true when they play squash. When you don't come home from 10-hour walk, when you come home, you go to squash court. You go there and squash court for 3 hours. They pass that one day, and the rest for only 20 minutes in that 3 hour day. Come home, go inside house, wash, rest more, then go back to my home office at about 10 o'clock and consider it 1 o'clock.
Wow. So from what you describe, obviously, them meeting a day, not just want to make a decision on your own, evaluate the input of the entire team before it come into conclusion. Hence the reason, I guess, they assume saying that that's the reason why it can take that long?
Well, yes, certainly, of course. Some
Okay.
issue we're very serious. We get to do with the agenda. Don't forget saying our commander-in-chief, now in charge, the buck stops with him. So, of course, some planning they way don't make we bother on the agenda for prosperity. And certainly, if something they for discuss, you want to make sure they discuss unto entirety and get to a logical conclusion on that issue. When it comes to being working late at night, than my personal preference, me personally, I don't think to see that's sufficient with it truly. But believe see for work, when I come in and replace, I go home, work done till the next day. But I need to take work come on and replace regardless of this position. I can't say no, it's not efficient for me. But now a personal choice that. But certainly, again, endurance when it starts until the finish.
Wow, interesting. So now we talk about if there's any wrong or mistakes from the then administration. What do you think say will be that wrong, and what do you don't learn about politics? How will help you to shape your life to who you are today as a whole? So it's like two in one.
The mistakes them, hindsight is 2020, and often at times where you sit on a seat, you not go see the mistake until where you don't come home. Now you will begin see on. Then again, running a government, politics not one thing. Politics are the art of machinating, the art of massaging, the art of engaging in the business of bringing yourself into governance. When once you don't come into governance, politics don't go. Then you get another agenda now when on governance. Governance now, even the one that when at the opponent at the time, now you get to work with them. Okay? You get to exchange ideas with them. So there are two different things there. Governance again, you not going to understand them until you did it. It's easy. Unless somebody sit down and say, I'm the president, all like this for do. Now why did they do this? Why did they do this? You compare to America, you compare to this, because you're not sitting there and you don't get the facts. You don't know what you play with. You don't know this kind of seat that you get to play with. Really and truly. So I have learned quite a lot in terms of how for maybe carry myself and keep my mouth shut, listen a whole lot more. Yeah, listen a whole lot more than I talk. Okay, taking information, taking critical information, break them down, and understand how down they affect people. I tell you, say before I left going to politics, the private sector, because the private sector is quite different from public. Okay, private sector, you look at EBITDA, expense before income, taxes, and look at your net income, determine that net income, what you do with them, what you do into return earnings, go back into the business, or what you do into dividend. Well, when public sector is different. Public sector, I'm not going to say because not 10 position against not 10 position no matter higher. Sometimes you get 10 position, you get for higher 13 position, for whatever reason. Public sector, they make policies. They create an enabling environment for other people they can try. I also know now say if you want for less something well, take a lady government for one. Anything you take, you give government for one. Well, now you are like well. Government in business and for identify professionals in certain areas, then give them the space, give them the support, make them carry them on, and create the enabling environment. So it's quite different from private sector when you go into public sector. You get forget an understanding for say, this government, I wrong. When we get money from taxes, we go and inside, we will convince donor for support person go and inside. The first thing we do, we look at the wage bill. Wage bill now only 80 million at the time. So the first money we get from taxes, whatever, once you get 80 million, you put a circular around that. But after you don't get around there for make sure you pay people their salary, then you can begin worry about paying contractors and everything else. Because if you not pay person a salary 1 month, 2 months, the person the way they can work now, you don't care again for the work. Now you don't encourage them to go and corrupt acts. And when once somebody don't begin to believe still when they pay in time, you don't begin left-handed. Once you don't change, they change again. So all of these things you would learn when they into governance. You would learn how bills are being appropriated. You will learn how bills originate, how governments they set up minister, president, set up a policy. Bring that policy, they can a cabinet. One man look at a cabinet, agree on a cabinet. If objection, they get an objection. They will deal with that for many, many hours till they get a consensus. If they agree say this is a policy, then it becomes a policy, a domesticator. If they say no, this is going to be law, they get a white paper, they send them off to parliament. So all of that. So this don't help me for be fully developed to understand how government will work. Why they drive now like it. I see they fixed with say 15 naira. So I know how the money come on. I know the priority issues. I know how the manage decides, okay, council don't do this instead of all of those things have helped me to be fully developed and understand how government will work.
Wow, wonderful. You have a wonderful baby brother who obviously loves, respects, and appreciates you so much. He plans to aspire as one of the future flag bearer for the next presidential election. What advice would you give to him?
My advice to him is believe in what you believe in. Come closer to your party. Understand your party constitution. Participate in the party activity. Again, that's go for the question where you just asked me about there's a difference between politics and governance. Okay. In the attempt to engage in politics now, and for engage in politics, you get to know the game. Just like play football. So on 10 days, you will see that man from football game, you decide, say, you know what, now I'll go for a 3-point jar as opposed to I go otherwise. Or make I go for a kick, make a decision. You for Sabi then kind of thing. So for me, I go advise and say, if not that, now you call him, that that's God mark for you. I wish you well, I give you 100%, but get to your party, understand your party constitution, get involved in your party, let your party Sabi, make you know how the party will operate. You be part of the changes really happen at the party. Okay, so the party, the APC don't come at a crossroads right now where we look for some reforms. Certainly need to get some reforms. We get this NRM where they don't mean to member of NRM, but of course I subscribe to waiting NRM we do and waiting DC 100%. I believe certainly the party don't spend the test of time, and certainly we need to bring about some reform. If we're going to convention very soon, and the leadership will be enjoying this time will no longer be there, because the next convention, I'm quite sure President Kuruma will go into full retirement. They can enjoy what's left of their life, and so therefore we should be looking for a new leader in terms of chairman leader. We should be looking at putting measures in place for them to go back to what the constituency and democratically identify who that amongst the one they want to be president will actually become flag bearer. You know, those things we must do. We have to get the party back to a position where everybody feel important, everybody can participate, not to a situation where we get parallel executives that all over the place. Some others have been just left out. Certain people that will set up camp, then they do this, then they do that, and so on and so forth. It's going to be a monumental task, but it's a task that we get for endure, the task we definitely. So the brother, if we say the president, we understand, say those issues are there, and he must be involved in them, and certainly that means that the beginning of him achieving the expectations and goals.
Thank you. The personality, contribution, and misconception of the then First Lady, Miss Sia Yama Koroma, from your point of view.
She's a fine, fine wife. She's a fine mother. She's a fine First Lady. We don't get an opportunity to work with her on few occasions. One such will come to mind was the wife of the president of Guinea, Mrs. Alpha Conde, on a very short notice, said we say that he come to Sierra Leone in one day. Okay, when the First Lady of the Republic of Guinea decides to come and come to the First Lady of Sierra Leone, and it's a state visit. So we had 1 day to plan a state visit. Make sure we have sufficient vehicles for support the vehicle that we count and the people that we count. Make sure the side for tap. Make sure the reception and we get to attend all routine for the lady. And she was hands-on. She was hands-on, a very good manager. And they tell her, look for saying, no, this mommy, not your mommy, we just left all thing and you are to carry on. No. You get critical question where they ask you, if you don't know your bits about you should not to turn a person. You will look foolish. And she took me to task, when that happened. And a few other occasions. So she's very intelligent, very, very intelligent, but also very, very caring. She's a mother. We call her Mama. And we don't call her Mama just because of her first day, but not because of how they deal with people and how they take other people and picking. She's a fine lady. Highly intelligent too and well educated.
Thank you. Before we go, I just want to touch base on the three branches of government: the justice system, or the judiciary system, the executive system, and the legislative, where we will refer to the parliament. Each are supposed to be independent. However, many believe that the executive branch control and manipulate all other two branches. In the case, as an example of the retired Major Paulo case, the judiciary system, who have the right to make the right and fair decision, says that a CCTV camera cannot be made available as per request to serve as an evidence for the defense team until the presidents give an okay. Is that right for any government to act in such manner? What is your take on that?
That I honestly don't know. I don't know, and I cannot comment on that. I don't know how that, whether or not the president need for an approval for that they use camera or anything to show evidence. One will ask for what's in the camera. I cannot speak on that honestly. I don't have enough information out there.
Fair enough, but how independent these three branches are? Are they independent enough to make decision on their own from your point of view?
No, they are not. Of course not. No, in Sierra Leone, In Sierra Leone, the executive branch runs the government. And until and unless they get real independence, we get a situation where not only the president, they appoint the chief of police. Whereas not only the president, they appoint the chief justice. We certainly will never have independence like that. Not only the president, they install the speaker of the house. We will never have independence. Okay? Because now, man, I ain't looking to make me chief justice. If I can do something where in the country interest, they will remove me. And everybody look for your interest. Everybody now whiching they get, which they need, which how they survive now important. So certainly, of course, me the chief of police, the president, I appoint me, especially if I say I get several people in way by far more educated, by far more ready, by far more senior than me, can take me behind, they can put me before. Hey, I don't want to keep them happy.
Yeah.
You know, so certainly they are not independent. The executive runs everything there.
Okay. Not all man them in prestige position go fall under this category in terms of the question I want to ask. But when we talk about statutory rape, with a lot that men use in their office to take advantage of, young, vulnerable, innocent children due to poverty and so on and so forth. Hence the reason why they may also declare the state of an emergency in terms of the rape, so on and so forth. What do you go advise to either the upcoming politicians them or the one that we all prestige position where they all get better opportunity for get any woman where they want in terms of an adult, but when it comes to them picking the way happen to be innocent, why they're not for waiting go be your advice in terms of letting shy away from them picking and they for letting able for grow and get a normal life.
I mean, I don't know if somebody will want to achieve their life needs to be advised against engaging in behavior where we have to do with rape, behavior we have to do with corruption, behavior will really cast you in a very bad light. I don't know if somebody needs to advise you on that, but certainly Sierra Leone needs generational change. I think to say we need to charge we safe when our parents then now because we really need for bring back some decency and kind of bring the people and come up in a manner where to make them all on to them kind of behavior either by showing them better examples, either by bringing in civic education and include their school curriculum, make them understand what's wrong from right. There's something that we can't do, make them a taboo. And but all said and done, I think we also need to strengthen the laws. The laws where we operate with Sierra Leone, these are the laws from way back in the 60s. You say somebody a rape person in US and they put an Agibu Tejan Jalloh 1,000 millions, and things like that. We need to create a deterrent and strengthen the laws. It's a part of it we talk, we say, kill dog before dog, let dog say the idea. If you have very strong laws, when somebody do something wrong, they reprimand them. I think to sit down, they will serve as a deterrent. But possibly one bad number.
Yeah.
What's what you do?
Yeah. Me second to last question before we go. What thing are you take on? Some go call the Pademba Road saga. Some go call the Pademba Road massacre. What thing are you take on that unfortunate incident?
It's pretty confusing to me. Today, I'm able to make sense out of it. When it be happening that they terribly sick, that day and they sick day that they watch television on the phone and they see and they happen, but I can say that the mind not be woke and they will think right, so I don't understand. But even now when the mind don't come back and don't become sane again, I still don't understand what thing that be the motive. Or say they want to kill political prisoner, that don't make sense. If you want to go kill her, inside there, you get plenty of opportunity to kill her. I don't understand. It don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But the government will tell me, say, the vice president will say that they do an expeditious investigation and come up with something. But I'm not believe saying they come up with anything because it's been a long time and we're not hearing about anything. In fact, people are doing that inside you. You haven't had a single word about that. It goes to tell you that there any other functional body that the government, that the system, will challenge the government. Not even the civil society, not even a journalist, not even a human rights group. Everybody is silenced. They don't call for an international investigation of what is happening. If you don't get anything and you hand clean, sure, you will call for that yourself. But where you hand not clean, I make the plea for call for that hand. But like I say, this is it. You will not hear much about that anymore. Like plenty things will happen. The people then come up about their own constituency 110. Look then at James Hon Agibu Tejan and Mr. John, man, then 30, 20 something other people they will about. I mean, I spoke to some people where and I said, listen, this you they already locked up, did election, and after that, they locked all the case, and that is what has happened. It happens all the time, and this is what will happen here. You will not hear anything about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make no sense. For me, I don't understand what happened. Why? It don't make sense. Not I don't see how it happened. Yeah.
What are your vision and hope for Salone, for we beloved Mama Salone?
I must be very honest with you. It's it don't mean say I'm not patriotic, but if we know buck up, and try to take steps to change things in a salon and allow everybody unity for grow and give people a routine due them. I must say I'm feeling very pessimistic. I have been in government. I don't see how far we don't go with government. I don't see the new government don't come. We talk about new direction. Young people them way we support them. Now they tell me say, well, I will make a mistake. It's not bad direction. Really, it's good. Nothing is happening. It leaves me very pessimistic about the growth of the country. I don't see us going anywhere anytime soon until and unless we make a conscious decision and set up an arrangement where we have a national agenda. National agenda, you can see the party they can inside. New party will come, you take 7 years, or you take 10 years, whatever it is. But the national agenda is any party will come for parliament national agenda. How to set up the national agenda, call different groups that in the country, be it civil society, be it women's group, be it different organization, where we can identify those things that we need. Yes, certainly, things change very quickly, but waiting like the priorities there, okay, put down in place. When you see any government doing it down, your manifesto, will be in line with this. This is what you have to continue. So you want to do. But the way how things they go, where one government can, they will can waiting and start. The other government can, they will can waiting and start in this issue of building political business, building they would like to develop for people that it is not taking us anywhere anytime soon. I am very, very pessimistic. I would have expected this government with high power to concentrate, okay, in reviving the economy, concentrate in putting measures in place for attract foreign direct investment and creating jobs. But take today, the way we talk APCDBs, APCDBs. That means they know the agenda. We say we know the agenda.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Before we go with final question, I want to the statement. I want you take this opportunity for speak to the youth of Sierra Leone and Sierra Leone as a whole. Waiting that advice they could be, sir.
We have seen what will not happen at Sierra Leone. People them way no come on na money manos. People them way no they don't come on na jobs them way na state job or international job. No one will come and get leadership position in our country, up to and including president. That also means that anybody in a salon, anyone from the youth today, okay, get the opportunity to be president or hold position of respect and power in our country. So that said, and with that in mind, everybody will live peacefully, everybody will uphold integrity, live a decent life, acquire as much knowledge as be able, okay, and be a stellar citizen, okay, such that you will make yourself ready to make meaningful contribution in the country. It means that violence should not be encouraged at all, and will do the right thing to develop yourself to make you be somebody in the country. So that day, that the youth thing, I remember, every youth believe say, he get the potential to be a leader, and that's what I mean. We've seen it happen.
Well stated, sir. Having said that, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the entire team here na Salon for All, Voice for All Network Television for tell you plenty thank you. We honor the invitation. Like I say, it has long been coming, but finally we make them. And the reason where you state today, it make a lot of sense. You decide for stay quiet, give it time for the government settle 2 years later and come and honor the invitation. Thank you so much for everything, and I wish you nothing but success in all your future endeavors, sir. If you want to make one last statement, you're welcome to do so before we call it quits.
Well, you're most welcome. We want to convey my sincere and deepest thanks and gratitude to you. I have been following your program for quite a while, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job. Really and truly. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Sierra Leone lives matters. Thank you very much, everybody.
With humility, once again, I tell you plenty thank you. Thank you for all that you have done as well for contribute towards the development of Sierra Leone, from community development to you taking a state job. We salute you. Thank you, sir. Maximum respect and admiration always. Thank you, Mr. Agibu Tejan Jalloh. Good night all. Once again, this is Salon for All, Voice for All Network Television. And I take this opportunity for telling all plenty thank you when I take time out of in a busy schedule today for join we as we conclude we interview today. Once again, thank you, Mr. Tejan Jalloh, and thank you to everybody. God bless we all, and God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. And like how Mr. Tejan Jalloh tell we, and I can always say, make we always remember we to bind it together, which not the green, white, and blue. Now we stay as law-abiding citizen, and above all, now we also remember all the necessary steps that we need for take as preventive measures for this deadly pandemic. We still they go on around the world, even though we don't get some type of progress. No, make light of it as in adoyeri in your submission and in your waiting it go through. May God continue for increasing health and everything where it put in hand pa. And I thank you once again, Mr. Tejan Jalloh. Good night, good morning. Bye.